YouTube, today I wanted to take the time out of my day to talk about a team in the NBA in the Western Conference that I don't think enough people really realize how great they're going to be in the future and how absolutely terrifying this team's potential is, not only for the 2025 NBA season, but for the future as a whole, and that is the Houston Rockets. I talked about this in my lottery video that I did where I talked about the Hawks and, some of the winners and losers of the lottery, but the Rockets scoring that third overall pick from, jumping up all the way from the 8th spot with a about 5% chance to win that pick, all the way to the 3rd spot in the draft is absolutely monumental for their franchise. And just a couple of years ago we thought this was a team with maybe some potential with guys like Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun that maybe just we're quite a long while away. But man, last offseason was really important for the Rockets. They hire Ime Udoka, who turned that culture and brought a hard-nosed toughness and edge to that locker room and organization. You get guys in free agency like Fred VanVleet, who was really great for the Rockets last year, and Dillon Brooks, who turned his career around in Houston. You still have a lot of really important pieces and pieces that could be NBA superstars or stars in the making in the future, like Jalen Green, like Alperen Sengun, as mentioned before, plus guys like Whitmore, who you drafted last year, Thompson as well, who have just a ton of potential, and Jabari Smith Jr, just to name a few. You also have brought in veterans like Steven Adams, Jeff Green, who we'll have to see if he returns next season. You have guys like Jalen Tate and Tari Eason, who are young, developing, pretty solid pieces already. So with a 3rd overall pick, regardless of free agency, I know the Rockets will not be making very many moves in free agency as they are over the cap limit. The Rockets could be a playoff team next year. And I think regardless of that, we're looking at one of the greatest teams of the future in the NBA, along with the San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference. This could be one of the scariest teams in the NBA in about 2 or 3 years or so. And I want to talk about it in this video today. I want to dive through the roster and see what, maybe the Houston Rockets could do in the offseason regarding their 3rd overall pick, whether they trade it or keep it. Who could they target in the draft with that 3rd pick? What's their next course of action with all these young pieces still developing? Let's get into it in this video, folks. So first, I want to just take inventory of this roster and everything they have returning next season, and as well as what positions and maybe types of areas on their roster they want to target. But first, we need to understand the roster that we're looking at here. So at the point guard position, I think they're really set. You have your guy right now in Fred VanVleet, who is unbelievable as that locker room leader and guy to just stabilize the team and hustle and energy to that team for the short term, right? But you also have Thompson, who is really kind of a point forward type, right? Like, I don't think he's necessarily a point forward. I don't know why I said that, but he is clearly a guy that you want the ball to be in his hands in the future. Maybe he's not quite ready for that. He's still a project, still a really young guy at 21 years old. He's a two-way monster threat hopefully in the future for the Rockets, and definitely an intriguing prospect that you got to let grow and develop in that organization to really see what you have in Thompson. You are just loaded with versatile defenders on this team. At the 2 guard, you have maybe your offensive star of the future in Jalen Green. Jalen Green has had a lot of struggles staying consistent and maybe playing winning basketball in the past, but I think that is starting to turn around with Coach Udoka really being there and being a great presence. I do think he needs to be more efficient offensively, take better shots, and really learn what winning basketball looks like. I think Coach Udoka is going to do a great job of getting him where he needs to be. So your guards look really good for the future. People say Thompson's a forward, but I think he's more of a guard type player. So he's a guy hopefully in the future maybe you'd want the ball in his hands quite a bit, as he has a lot of playmaking chops already and a lot of potential to be an on-ball creator. Maybe you could use another guy in the draft, or maybe if you don't draft a point guard, but you could get like a veteran minimum guy or something to come in and play backup point guard or something like that. But overall, I think the guards of the future are pretty set, and as long as Fred VanVleet plays like he did last season, you got a really good guy in the interim at the point guard position to run your offense. For the forwards, I mean, this is where they're just so amazing, right? Talk about the forward depth. I mean, Whitmore, who is to me really like a 2 guard or a 3, right? Kind of a hybrid wing. This guy is a special type of talent in my opinion. You took him last year in the draft, 20th overall, which I thought was a steal at the time. This guy really has a lot of shooting promise, and it really just scoring promise in general. I think this is a really good 2-way player for the Rockets moving forward. I mean, this is a guy who averaged 12 points last year as a rookie in a limited role, only played 47 games, but listen, 19 minutes a game, 12 points per game, shot well from the field, shot about average from 3 on 5 attempts per game, 36%, got to the line a little bit as a rookie and needs to up his free throw percentage along with a lot of the Rockets players, but overall you got to be thrilled with Whitmore. Jalen Tate, I think, is one of the more underrated players in the league. I'm sure if you're a Rockets fan, this is the type of guy that you love. He's been with the Rockets his whole career. Last year was his 4th year in the NBA, although he is an older guy for a 4-year player at 28 years old. The guy is just a total utility piece that you love to have as an organization. Jalen Tate is like really like an undersized 3 or 4, but does a lot of really great things on both ends of the floor. You know, for one, he's not the best shooter, right? Like we can just say that, but talk about a guy that just hustles and gets to the basketball, finds ways to impact winning night to night, and just, you know, he would be a fan favorite of mine if I was a Rockets fan. I hope the, you know, Rockets will pick up his team option for next season and bring Jae'Sean Tate back, as he is a valuable hustle guy for that team. Another forward who was injured a lot of last season, only ended up playing 22 games, but really stood out as a rookie, will now be going into the third year of his career, and that is 2022 17th overall pick Tari Eason. And Tari Eason is a really promising, you know, player. For one, he is a guy that can really knock down a catch and shoot 3. Got really good size for a forward. You know, another guy that just does a lot of things really well. Really good rebounder. You know, this is a guy that I would love to keep around if I'm the Rockets and really see how high his potential can go, as last year hampered him with injuries. But Tari Eason, like I said, a really promising player. I don't think he has like star potential or anything like that, but could be a solid starter in this league as a forward. Dillon Brooks, you know, I talked about him in the last video, totally redeemed himself and saved his career last season for the Rockets. You know, you can't say enough good things about this guy. You know, he brought a lot of edge and toughness like Coach Udoka wanted to that organization and team. That's the type of guy that the Rockets needed, and they got him. And fortunately for the Rockets, he really paid off last season, showing that he can be a efficient offensive player as well as a great defender. So, you know, you got to be happy about Dillon Brooks if you're the Rockets. But another guy that can provide veteran leadership for the Rockets with an otherwise really young team, Jabari Smith Jr., you know, super high draft pick, had a really good season last year, played kind of a different role. He's really going to be the power forward of that team, as, you know, Alperen Sengun, who we'll get to, is the center. But Jabari Smith is a really good athlete, two-way player, got great length and size for his position, can guard multiple positions, versatile defender. That's your top defender in my opinion. He's a special type of defensive talent that I think has a lot more room to grow, like I said, as a lot of these other guys, only being 21 years old. So you gotta love what you've seen from Jabari Smith, especially last year, as a stretch four and a versatile defender. At the center position, you have maybe the best bright spot of your team and guy with maybe the most potential of anyone on this team, and that is Alperen Sengun, who really broke out last season as a breakout player, showing, in my opinion, has superstar potential. Listen, this guy is only 21 years old, and last year he put up 21 points per game, 9 rebounds, 5 assists on 53 from the field. He has to, you know, develop a little bit more of a consistent 3, in my opinion, improving his defense as well. That was one of the big concerns with him. But listen, offensively, this guy is one of the more special talents in the league from that big man position. People call him Jokic light or mini Jokic. I can see the comparisons. It's not the best comparison, but he is a dynamic offensive center that really provides a lot of passing and scoring capabilities and just a total bag offensively at that big man spot. That is the guy of the future to build around. Sengun is an offensive superstar in the making. Like I said, you bring in Steven Adams at the deadline, you acquire him, which I thought was a really good move for the Rockets. You know, he really fits that team and what they want to be doing in their future, what they want their identity to be. You know, a really tough, gritty team that has a lot of talent. I think Steven Adams was a perfect pickup. He's really, you know, a type of guy on that team that they were lacking. I think a really strong backup 5 that can come in and rebound the ball and be physical. One of the more physical guys in the entire league. Really fits their identity. Like I said, I thought that was a great move for the Rockets to pick him up. And I'd say that's about it for players I want to cover that are worth covering for this team. You know, there's obviously some more guys that'll probably be coming back, but for the Rockets, you know, I think that's about it. What they should be doing with this 3rd overall pick, that's the question. You know, do they go with a point guard, even though they have, you know, maybe a little bit of a surplus there and their future, you know, pretty set up there? Or do they go with, you know, a wing, another, you know, really capable wing? I think personally what the Rockets should be doing is looking for the best offensive player in this draft, right? A guy that is really ready. And I think Reed Shepherd at the wing position is a, you know, 2 guard or, you know, 3 or point guard, whatever he is. You know, I think he's more of a 2 guard to me, but I think Reed Shepherd really fits this team well. You know, he's a guy that can step in right away and provide really quality offense for this team. He is a really polished offensive player, and I think that's what the Rockets really need. He is a guy that can really knock down a 3 off the dribble, off the catch, create his own shot in a lot of scenarios. You know, people worry about his defense. You know, I don't know, but maybe that's not what they're looking for. You know, they probably want a guy that can play both ends of the floor. But I think just from a balance standpoint for this roster, if they want to compete within the next couple of years, I think Reed Shepherd's probably the best guy to pick at that 3rd overall spot, because that's something that they're really lacking. A guy that is really stable and efficient offensively, that can make the right plays, just a smart player. You know, I don't think Reed Shepherd's ever really going to wow you with his athleticism or, you know, something he does on the floor game to game with his flash. You know, he's not a flashy player, but think of a better version of Austin Reeves. That's kind of what I, you know, look at Reed Shepherd as. You know, I'm not a draft expert or anything, but I've seen a lot of film on Reed Shepherd. You know, he's one of my favorite players in the draft, and I think he would make a lot of sense with the Rockets, sort of balancing out that lineup lineup with a pure offensive-minded player that can really handle the ball and shoot it from outside consistently. If they do decide to trade the pick for a superstar, I think that could be another thing. I mean, while the Rockets are super young and developing, they still have a lot of talent right now to be able to compete with the Western Conference. And you saw that in 2024 with the Rockets, being in that hunt for the play-in tournament, right? So even if you project all these guys to get so much better, these younger guys, which I would, right? I totally would think a lot of these guys will get so much better. That's what you're planning on for the future. That's, you have your core pieces, but maybe you add a superstar right now and trade that third overall pick thinking that we're young and developing, but we can compete right now. We're about a superstar away from being one of the top Western Conference teams. And I would tend to agree with that, but do you mortgage your future and direction of the franchise to sell out right now? I'm not so sure about that, man. If you like someone at 3, I think you take them. I think you basically won the lottery along with the Hawks, right? And you gotta value that pick like it could be the acceleration to your rebuild, right? And so you could look at it the other way and say, well, the acceleration to our rebuild would be trading the pick for a guy like Donovan Mitchell, for a guy like DeJounte Murray. But I don't know, man. I think you take someone with that third overall pick and let these other young guys develop, this young core. There's no rush for this team, in my opinion. You want to win now as many games as you can. There's a good chance next year you won't be anywhere near the lottery. I get that, right? So maybe, going all in now on a superstar is a good move. You basically thought you had the 8th pick and got a free third overall pick, but I think you take someone with this pick if you really like him. If you don't, maybe you try to shop it around on draft day, see what happens. But either way you slice it, man, the Rockets have the future of the NBA in the palm of their hands, just like the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. I think they're up there with their type of future. The Rockets really are going to be scary in a couple of years, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. So make sure you guys, keep an eye on Houston. They're going to be trouble, especially if you're a West Conference team. You're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. You think you have the best future. I think the Rockets are up there with you guys. It's going to be a competition. I can't give enough credit to this front office and, just ownership group, everybody involved top to bottom. They have really turned this thing around, man. The Rockets were really looked at to me as a 5-year or so project going into last year. And, they make all these moves and it pans out so beautifully well. And now the Rockets are right up there with the Thunder and Spurs as the future of the NBA in the Western Conference. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, man. Make sure you guys let me know down in the comments if you agree, if you disagree with this video. What do you think of the Rockets' future and, maybe what they could do with that third overall pick? If you guys know a lot about the NBA draft, maybe you guys could tell me, because I don't, I'm not an expert or anything like that. I don't know much about the draft, but I do know Reed Sheppard would be a good fit in Houston. So let me know if you guys think someone else could be really good for Houston. Feel free to comment, right? Who do you guys think has the best future of any team in the NBA? I think it's the Rockets, the Spurs, and the Thunder. They all happen to be Western Conference teams, but that's good for my Sixers. Stay out of my conference. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. We upload content just like this every single day, and we're going to be gearing up for the finals to do a lot of finals content for you guys. So make sure you guys stick around if you don't want to miss it. I'm so excited. I can't wait for the finals. Every single day uploads on this channel, NBA content every day. Catch you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day today. This is your boy D Haven as always. Peace.